Bruce Feldman back here on the Rich Eisen Show as part of the DirecTV 4K College Football Report once again. How are you, Bruce?
I'm doing well, Rich. Good to be on with you.
So let's start with USC tonight. They're not the left tackle that has been providing protection for Sam Darnold all year long. The offensive line is not intact tonight, Bruce?
Correct. Toa Lobendon, who's really started all over the line, but he's been, one of their best and most experienced offensive linemen. He's not going to go. They have inexperience on the other side of the line, so left and right tackle are going to be very young. And remember, this is an offensive line that had, I think, at least 3, maybe 4 guys who went to the combine last year. So they got a lot of new parts in front of Sam Darnold. The receiving core, he has Dante Burnett, but it's still kind of a work in progress. And we see him, he has 7 interceptions through the first 4 games. It's been a lot of inconsistency with this group. And that's not an easy place they're going to play tonight at the Palouse. Now, Wazoo hasn't beaten anybody really of note. Boise State's pretty down. That's their best win. But this is going to be an interesting matchup for USC because it's, like I said, it's not an easy place to get to at Washington State, especially when your offensive line is banged up.
And then, I mentioned how Nebraska and Illinois is, again, the 4K Ultra HD College Football DirecTV game of the week tonight. And Nebraska, is Mike Riley basically playing for his gig right now every single day?
Yeah, he's in a tough spot. The AD who had hired him, Sean Eichhorst, he was fired a couple of weeks back and just made some really bad moves politically, internally that ticked off a lot of folks, so that didn't sit well. They've struggled offensively. Tanner Lee is a quarterback who's a transfer. He's talented, and a lot of NFL people, I think, were intrigued by his skill set. But he's thrown a lot of picks, and they've just been really, really inconsistent. And the schedule now, after this game, Illinois is probably the weakest team they have left. If they somehow lose this game, he's in so much trouble because, he's still got 3 opponents who are ranked in the top 11 ahead. They got to find a way to play a lot better. Whereas Illinois, Lovie Smith has struggled to get it going. They got blown out at UCF a couple of weeks back, and they've had an off week. So it's a must-win game, I think, really for both teams here.
And again, that's tonight at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on Channel 106 here on DirecTV. It's the 4K game of the week. And then you're around Iowa. How in the world are they bouncing back from that last-second loss to Penn State at home last week, Bruce?
Yeah, that's, both these teams in this game. You have one with Iowa where it was the, crushing loss where Saquon Barkley did everything up till, and then the last play they give up a touchdown pass. And I think for them, it's just kind of, hey, this is our MO. We're going to be the tougher team. Well, here they're facing a team, Michigan State, that lost to Notre Dame, had a bunch of turnovers, a lot of self-inflicted wounds, and coming off last year where they had, the bottom just fell out on their season. I think it's interesting to see how both of these teams are going to respond to going from the unbeaten ranks last week.
Bruce Feldman on the sidelines of that game again for Fox Sports, Iowa at Michigan State. Sports Illustrated's Bruce Feldman also, SI.com college football analyst here in our DirecTV 4K college football report. So let's talk about the investigation that was announced a couple of days ago, in the arrests in college basketball. How is that reverberating in the halls of college football, Bruce?
It's a different kind of animal because, look, let's not kid ourselves. There's plenty of cheating that goes on in college football, too. But it's just not on the same, it's not in the same places in terms of, these shoe companies which are involved in this with the basketball side. They're just not, chasing after these recruits because there isn't the one and done. You may have a 5-star football recruit, but there's no guarantees what they're going to develop like. The area where I think it's got a lot of people concerned is you're seeing a lot of ADs who are, in jeopardy. How widespread are the tentacles going to be reaching into here? We see it obviously at Louisville, where when Bobby Petrino becomes your, most
the dean of athletic coaches,
your most esteemed integrity guy out of your, coaches, that's a problem. The Rick Pitino scandal, the latest scandal, and then Tom Jurich, the AD there. My God, that looks about as bad as it's going to get from this part of the scandal, but I think this thing is still unfolding. From what I had heard from a source last night, they thought it could impact up to 40 schools.
Wow.
When this thing unfolds. And I think it's just getting traction now. And so I think college football people are like, glad it's not us, but they have their own problems to deal with when it comes to a lot of these scandals too.
So are you saying, I'm trying to read in between some of the lines here, is Petrino, despite what has been rebuilt there for him at Louisville, could he be looking at the departure of the guy who rehired him in Tom Jurich and say, I need to start looking over the steering wheel and look for my next spot?
I don't think that would be the case, just because yes, he wins football games. I'm just not sure how many other athletic departments are going to sign on to have Bobby Petrino represent them and all that entails. But that's definitely an athletic department in transition right now. And I think that given, how much they've upgraded, they got into the ACC, they've done a lot of things to kind of get on better footing and upgraded facilities. There's a lot of positives that guy did as an AD, but just in terms of the optics of, hey, you hired Bobby Petrino, and then you got Patino involved in one scandal after another, and these salacious things. I mean, prostitution and just the mistress having an abortion. It's just like, this looks like stuff that should be on HBO scripted TV stuff.
Right. A couple more minutes here with Bruce Feldman in the DirecTV 4K College Football Report. What are the chances of an upset with Virginia Tech taking on Clemson this weekend?
That is a tough place to play, Rich. I would not be shocked. Bud Foster is a really, really good defensive coordinator. He's got a talented defense with a lot of experience, and I think that they could give Clemson some problems. The thing that's really, eye-catching about Clemson is they have a nasty defensive line. I mean, just big, super athletic guys. And Josh Jackson, who's a redshirt freshman quarterback, he's from Ann Arbor, has played really, really well. But, Clemson's going to really challenge him. And I think what you saw Clemson do to Auburn a few weeks ago, 11 sacks, got all really after Jarrett Stidham. I mean, if he can avoid the mistakes, I think they have a chance because, they're very well coached. And like I said, that is a really tough place to play. It gets really loud when they're rolling. And I think people are going to be up for this game. It's just, how well can their young quarterback play for 4 quarters against a really, really talented defense?
And I know you've been very high on Oklahoma State this year. Were you shocked by the TCU beatdown in a way?
I was, Rich, because our crew actually did that matchup last year in Fort Worth, and they just absolutely dominated TCU. To see it go the other way was just kind of really eye-opening to me. But, look, Gary Patterson's as good a defensive coach as there is in college football. He made some really, smart adjustments to how they attacked them. And it was the first real test for the Oklahoma State defense, and obviously they failed it miserably.
Before I let you go, we're going to see our first October football coming up, entering October. Saquon Barkley's number 1 in the Heisman race, correct? That kid is dynamic. He's electric. There's no actually those are words that I don't even think do justice what he looks like on that field, Bruce. He looks like a professional football player out there.
Yeah, my comparison is he has the elusiveness and the wow factor of Reggie Bush in a 230-pound power back. He is everything you want in terms of, great character kid, great worker. He's in a really good system for it where they have enough athletes to stretch the field downfield and take a little pressure off him. He is the clear number 1 right now. I would say Baker Mayfield is behind him because he's played well. But right now it's a 2-horse race, but it's still, like you said, we're just getting into October. A lot changes, but he is a lot of fun to watch, and the country got to see it the other night out of Iowa.
Yeah, man. If I'm in the NFL and I need a running back, I'm just saying, how do I get my hands on this kid? How do I do it?
You know what, Rich? And you think about it. I've heard some people go, well, he's kind of like a little bit like Ezekiel Elliott. The other thing with this kid is there are no character issues. Just you talk to people at Penn State, they rave about him, his work ethic. You spend any time around him, you become a believer in him. he checks off every box. He's way bigger than he looks when you see him in person. He was 230 pounds, not 210. He's a 4-3 guy. He works his butt off. I mean, it's fitting that the game-winning play, he didn't catch it. He did something that you wouldn't see in the box score. He stoned the linebacker in protection.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean by professional. He's 3 down. That's how you stay on the field all 3 downs in the NFL is you pass protect, which is why I think people might be equating him to Ezekiel Elliott from the big playability and the smarts to know what to do on the field to stay on the field as he has. I don't see honestly nobody gets a good clean shot on him. And you can't take him down. I mean, you hit him in the legs, and it doesn't take him down. As a matter of fact, he might be thrown off balance, but then he gets perfectly back on balance and gets another 10 yards. It's truly, I can't stop raving about him. Obviously, we've been talking about him for 3 minutes right now.
Yes, 2 guys here have a man crush on Saquon Barkley. Just about everybody else who covers college football has that same man crush, too.
Okay. Take care of yourself, Bruce. Have a good one, Iowa and Michigan State. We'll see you on the sidelines.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's at Bruce Feldman, CFB on Twitter. That's the DirecTV 4K College Football Report.
The Rich Eisen Show. Weekdays at noon Eastern on radio stations across the country and audience.
If you like that, download our app. Please, just if it's a memory thing, just delete other apps. You don't need those apps. This app, the Rich Eisen Show app, you need that.